Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, Labo. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, joined as always by my co-host Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you tonight. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including, of course, the Nintendo Labo that was announced on Thursday. Then on this coming Thursday, we're going to be recording an episode about Wii Music. Mark, did they hear me right? Are we going to be talking about Wii Music?
Yeah, and I'm really excited for this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Do we want to say more? But yeah.
I think, it's all in the name of, Labo kind of caught us off guard a little bit, and we wanted to explore, other ways that Nintendo uses its software to, encourage creativity and stuff like that, so we picked up a copy of Wii Music.
And I think I'll just say that you might be surprised by our take.
I would say...
Because this game kind of has a rancid reputation.
Absolutely. But so, yes, check back in on Thursday for that. It'll be a good long conversation about Wii Music. We got a little bit of a debug from last week. The baseball game that's available on the Switch is RBI Baseball 17.
Couldn't remember what it was called.
We could not, in fact, remember what it was called.
Had sluggers in there, Grand, maybe featured prominently.
Grand Sluggers.
Turned out no. RBI Baseball 17. I think it was recently announced that RBI Baseball 18 is also coming to Switch. So.
Hey, that's good. So there are baseball games. Remember, if you could please rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff on Apple Podcasts, we would appreciate it. It helps us out a lot.
Yeah, we've had a couple of reviews recently, so thank you so much to everyone who's done that.
I haven't even noticed that.
Yeah.
I should look. I'm a bad host. You're also good at reviewing us. I'm a bad host. And of course, follow us on Twitter. We're at NinCart Society, and the Facebook page is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Mark, let's move on to the weather report. It's a little bit chilly.
Yeah, it was really cold last night.
I mean, I think we have to watch ourselves when we say it was really cold last night.
No, yes, LA cold, all those qualifiers, but I'm owning it. It was cold. I was cold.
I put a hat on. I wore a hat indoors for a little bit. We went out to dinner. We walked, 3 blocks?
Uh-huh.
I was very cold.
It was too far.
It was too far and too cold. But not, of course, compared to where our guest weather is today. Guest weather is Labrador City, Canada. Oh, boy.
Very cold.
Very cold at the time of this recording, or a couple hours ago. -5 degrees. Looks like it's snowing. Not breaking single digits at any point this week. So,
good luck.
Yeah, big warm-ups to you.
Oh, yeah, the warmest of biggest ups.
The warmest of big ups. The biggest of warm-ups?
I stand by what I say.
All right, I'm sorry. I just didn't know if we wanted both to be superlative. We are talking about Labrador City because that is where Sonic Forces is heading next.
We're going international. Sonic Forces. Bringing the world together.
Yeah, that's right. Bringing 2 parts of North America
Celebrating
together.
NAFTA.
That's right. All right, great. Mark, let's move into what we've been playing.
Wait.
What?
What about the Sonic Forces?
Oh, yes.
Don't you want to...
Yeah, we'll plug that a little bit.
Yeah.
The Sonic Forces borrowing program, you can borrow my copy of Sonic Forces. It is now an international copy of Sonic Forces. All you have to do is email us with your address. So write into Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com.
Remember to get your parents' permission first if you are a child.
And if you're an adult, call your parents.
They want to hear from you.
They want to hear from you. And, then be like, hey, is it okay if I give these guys my address? It feels a little weird. It's a little weird.
I don't think it is at all.
You think it's fine?
I mean, have you heard of Uber? You just get in strangers' cars?
Oh, yeah. No, that's crazy. And they have your credit card information?
Yeah, well, I mean, they
Not
don't.
The stranger. The stranger doesn't. But who do you trust more, a stranger or Uber?
I mean, neither. That's why I use Lyft. But also...
As do I.
But also, they have your address. If you're just
Yeah, no, and that's an actual problem, right?
Theoretically, we all seem to be fine with it. This is just to say that if you're willing to give that information loosey-goosey to Lyft drivers or Uber drivers, then emailing us your address to receive Sonic Forces for free.
Here's a trick. If you're worried,
There's no risk.
If you're worried about Uber or Lyft drivers knowing your address, have them drop you off just down the street.
Yeah.
Learn the address of a house just down the street.
So that way the Lyft driver can go to that house.
Right. And sneak into that bedroom late at night.
Uh-huh.
This is dark. This is dark. I don't like this riff anymore. All right, Mark, let's move into what we've been playing this week.
We have, of course, been playing Wii music.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm suddenly intrigued.
Why is that?
Looking at the show notes.
Okay, so my show notes says Patrick has a surprise.
So I want to hear what you've been playing.
Okay, so I've been continuing to play Super Meat Boy. A lot of my just sort of like, grab 20 minutes, grab half an hour of game time in the evenings has been going to Street Fighter V Arcade Edition, which of course I am not playing on any Nintendo console. And my record is steadily getting better. My best evening this week was I went 5-7, which felt pretty good. That's almost half. But the surprise that I have for you, Mark, is I got you something today.
Uh-oh.
I got you a box of Super Mario cereal.
Where did you find it?
At the grocery store, at the Albertsons.
Just like casually? Like you didn't have to fight anybody for it?
I didn't have to fight anybody for it. I didn't have to dig through any bargain bins. I didn't have to answer any riddles. I found it on the shelf. I paid a couple dollars, and I got you a box of Super Mario cereal.
This is amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And I know listeners that you can't hear it, so we could be faking it, but no, this is for real.
Shake it up next to the microphone. Yeah, see? That's the real deal.
Wow. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I got myself a box as well. It tastes like Lucky Charms.
You've eaten it?
Yeah, I've eaten it. Are you trying to figure out if you should eat it?
I don't know. I just don't. I never thought it would happen to me. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I almost feel bad eating it.
Why?
I don't know.
Too much sugar?
No. That does not put me off at all. This is actually, I guess this is the third amiibo I own as well.
Yeah.
With the Wario and Waluigi ones that you gave me.
Right. So you only get amiibo when I give them to you.
But they're all cool.
Yeah, I agree. I've got a real problem with them.
Thank you so much. This is really amazing.
Yeah, you are welcome. All right, so that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases for next week and what we might be playing next week.
I'm at a loss for words because I forgot that Lost Sphear was a thing that was coming out.
Okay. Lost Sphear is out on Tuesday. Yes.
Yeah, today comes out on January 23rd. For the Switch, and for those of you who have also forgotten what Lost Sphear is, it's made by
Tokyo RPG Factory.
Tokyo RPG Factory, which is a small. Is it a part of Square Enix, or are they just And they made I Am Setsuna.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that I kind of forgot about this is that Project Octopath Traveler seems to be doing everything I want from Tokyo RPG Factory, but just better.
And that, and Tokyo RPG Factory is not involved in Octopath Traveler.
But just like that, like retro throwback sort of Japanese turn-based RPG type game.
Yeah, well, I mean, Octopath is using sprites in a 3D space, and both Lost Sphear and I
Am
Setsuna are, not sprites. It's fully polygon, whatever. But it's, always like top-down and not super dynamic, like camera stuff.
Because you bought I Am Setsuna way back at the Wii launch, the Switch launch, because it was a Switch launch title.
Mm-hmm. And I really didn't get far in it. In fact, I got like embarrassingly not far, maybe an hour into the game. I died during the very first boss, and I was like, I don't know.
Well, and that's kind of I don't think I Am Setsuna is necessarily, I haven't played it, but from everything I've heard is that it's not a bad game. Same with Lost Sphear, just that it is kind of like that, where it's they're both just fine.
Yeah.
A little bit meh, like not really compelling enough to drive you to come back to it at any point.
Yeah, and I mean, I just don't know what in an RPG. Like, I just don't want another like big, like mythological whatever. Like, I want stakes I can understand, or something with a sense of humor. Um, all of these games are like so deadly serious. And so it's just, it's nice when you look at like the classics, like Final Fantasy 6 or Chrono Trigger. Like, they're serious, but they also have like a sense of like fun and joy about them that's like evident from very early on in those games, and it makes them fun to play.
The other thing, and I have not played either of these games, so I can't really. This is more just like
Let's
these.
do it. Let's
No, but-
talk about it anyway.
No, but this is more of these like retro throwback titles in general.
Mhm.
Is a lot of times I want the retro throwback stuff in aesthetics and in mechanics. Like, I like turn-based RPGs. Like, I want a turn-based RPG, but the mechanics have to be refined.
Yeah.
At this point, there's no excuse for to use these old mechanics and have them feel clunky.
Yeah.
Because there have been so many games that do it well that if you're going to crib from the past, you have to crib from like the good stuff.
I think there is a real no-win situation around menu-based combat, though, because like I remember loving the menu combat in the original Final Fantasies, and like I said, Chrono Trigger and all that stuff. But like, if you're just to copy and paste that into like now, I would have no patience for it. But if it's more like automated or something, I don't know what the right compromise is.
And that's fair. Like, that's a tricky balance. One that it seems like you are also having with ukulele, different genre, but
Sure.
same sort of thing, where
Yeah.
it's like, are you gonna make a Banjo Kazooie? Great, because that's what people want. But at the same time, like, those games had some problems.
Right, and like let's improve on it, especially like with the years of progress that we've made in the genre since then. Like, let's just use some things to make the collecting more interesting or more fun or whatever.
Anyways, Lost Sphear is out now.
Great. Also out today is Shu, which is a kind of cool looking platformer that originally came out on PlayStation 4 and Vita last October. It looks kind of neat. Almost looks like it plays like a Tropical Freeze, but with a lot of cooler, like kind of like art assets and stuff.
Oh, so is it? It's 3D.
No, 2D.
Oh, sorry. I mean, like that kind of like 2.5D or whatever you
Yeah,
call it, of like
absolutely.
Tropical Freeze, where
Yeah, where like you're moving between planes,
and they're
stuff.
like 3D models and stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they're 3D models. I believe they're sprites, but it looks really good. I'm interested in picking it up.
Speaking of cool-looking 2D platformers, on Thursday, January 25th, Celeste is coming out on the Switch
Yeah.
eShop. That was something that was shown off in the Nintendo Direct Mini from just a couple of weeks ago, and it looks really cool. I think I will be picking up this. I've been kind of itching for a platformer.
Yeah, this
And-
one's supposed to be kind of tough.
It is,
which
but
I'm
it
excited
has
about.
the easy, like that, like easier mode or whatever you call it, where you can make like it seems like there are a couple of different options
Right.
that make the game more accessible, which to me is very exciting.
Right. You can slow down time and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Also coming on Thursday is Dust Off, Hero Rescue 2, Atomic, Run Gun, Jump Gun. The
Run gun, jump gun.
The Neo Geo game is World Heroes 2, and then Space Dave.
Do you know anything about Space Dave?
I don't.
What a title, though.
Great title. Very
Great title.
emphatic.
Not looking into it.
On Friday, January 26th, the new Nintendo 2DS XL Pikachu Edition comes out. And on the 3DS eShop, you can download Pokemon Crystal on the Virtual Console.
Did we talk about the 2DS XL Pikachu Edition when it was announced? I don't remember.
I don't think we did.
It's just, I mean, I suppose what would we say at this point, other than like, man, they're still putting out that hardware.
Well, and no wonder. This kind of gets into news, but I didn't include really any of the NPD stuff.
Yeah.
But the 3DS this year sold more than it did last year, so it's it's still a booming platform.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts.
I mean, it's cheaper than the Switch, right? And people could find it.
And it
for
has
the
an
whole year.
amazing library.
Yeah, absolutely. That includes like all the Pokemon games in the world, including Crystal, which is now also coming out on Friday. All right, Mark, let's get out of the new releases. Now it's time for 433. It's a regular feature on our show. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, I've already forgotten what we said we were going to talk about today.
Blah, 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 school dances.
School dances. You initially pitched to me prom, and I sort of rolled my eyes.
A little bit. Yeah. Yes. And as much as I want to dive into why that was, it kind of seems antithetical to do so.
Well, I mean, I went to prom 3 times.
Uh-huh.
Once as a junior, once as a senior, and then I went to a friend's prom the year that I was living with my parents the year after high school before I went to college. Had like a year, like a gap year. And that one was probably the best prom because there were no expectations on anyone for anything. I showed up, I looked nice, I had a nice meal, danced a little bit, didn't know anyone there, and was like, all right, I'm out. It was great.
What was the first school dance you went to? Do you remember?
The first school dance that I
yeah,
went
like
to?
how old you were.
I know I went to one in junior high school.
My like elementary school had school dances for at least 6th graders.
Whoa.
Yeah, but it wasn't like a thing like it was like a dance party, not like a
sure.
ask somebody out and like show up to this dance type thing.
Right. People weren't hooking up. Yeah.
There were no real expectations to it.
So what was your first?
I think my was in 7th or 8th grade. I went. Well, no, actually, I don't. I went because I had to take a picture there for some sort of like school activity, but I didn't actually go to the dance. I don't think I went until like my junior year of high school or something. I went to winter formal.
Yeah. Yeah, dances are weird, right? Like it's a weird thing that like there's no like adult parallel to.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I guess like going to weddings is sort of the adult version of a dance.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Because sometimes weddings have the same sort of weird social pressure that school dances do.
Right. Well, what do you mean by that? The with social pressure that like you have to do things as a group and
yeah, and there's like very like I don't know, traditions isn't even really the right word, but like there are very like specific aspects to it that you have to like honor in order for it to be like the perfect night or whatever.
Right. Well, and also they both have the thing where like you have to get very dressed up and you have to pretend to be fancy, but then you're going to spend the last like 4 hours of the night just like getting sweaty and dancing. Do you like that? Do you like the either part of that equation?
No.
Yeah, I tell you what, renting a tuxedo sucks. It's not fun. I'm sure it's easier than buying a dress, but like I hate it.
Well, also like when I was a teenager, the last thing I wanted in the world was for anyone to notice me.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't want to be different at all. And so like going to like a dance where you had to I guess we'll never know.
I guess we will never know. We were accompanied today by the EBU Your Radio. That's right. Or the
My radio, your radio.
No, it's like a Europe radio. Your radio. I don't know. That orchestra. Mark, let's move into the news.
Big news for the week, of course, is Nintendo Labo. Okay, so what is Nintendo Labo? According to the PR, it's a new line of interactive build and play experiences that combine do-it-yourself creations with the magic of Nintendo Switch.
Yep, and that's what it is, right? Nintendo dropped a trailer on Thursday, with just a little bit more fanfare than they did their direct the week before, saying we've got a video for something. It's for kids and kids at heart.
And it's a new way to like play.
Yes, a new interactive experience. Uh, Careful not to call it a game necessarily, but also still kind of mysterious. So, Labo, in your words,
Yeah,
what is it, Mark?
it's a craft
Mm-hmm.
kind of. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
cardboard kits that you assemble using step-by-step instructions that come on like a Wii cart, or presumably can be, I said Wii, but like Switch game cart, and
Yes,
presumably can
and
be
I nodded.
presumably can be downloaded from the Switch eShop as well. And it's like step-by-step instructions for you to create like a cardboard something or another. Like the different examples that we were shown were a fishing pole,
Mm-hmm.
or
A piano.
a piano, or a little like you can turn your Joy-Con into a cart, or into a car.
Yeah.
And it seems like it looks like they take between like 15 minutes and they say approximately like 2 hours to assemble. And yeah, and then you can like make them do things.
So it seems like it's part like papercraft and part just sort of like regular construction toy, and then part video game, right? That everything that you can build has like some sort of application with the Switch. So you are either using the features of the Joy-Con. Like I don't know if you saw, but like on the remote control car, you put the Joy-Cons in it, and then you move it around by using controls on the touch screen of the Switch that make the HD rumble like move in very specific ways to make the car go forward. Um, so like the control input is now the actual Switch itself, and the Joy-Cons are the thing that you're playing with. Um,
And then we also saw an example with the like fishing rod. It's kind of like this telescoping
mhm.
fishing rod that there you place the switch vertically in a little like cradle thing, and there's like an interactive fishing game in there.
Yeah.
There's like a dollhouse almost that you build, and you put the Joy-Con into a like crafted cardboard tube type thing, and or it's almost like a bolt
Yeah,
at
sure.
that point that you like plug into different parts of the house, and the Switch system, like the screen is inside the house, and it makes it do different things.
Yeah.
The piano's the craziest one.
The piano is so cool because it's all, again, this is all cardboard. So like you build this piano with 13 working keys that are, must all be like counterweighted or something. And you stick the Joy-Cons in it, and the IR sensor, or the IR camera, I guess, can read which of the keys is being pushed and at what velocity.
Yeah, because of like reflective tape that's on the back of the keys or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm reminded that probably just a few weeks ago we were talking about uh new ways to play with the Switch, and boy, they haven't used the IR camera for anything since 1-2 Switch. Har har har.
Yeah, yeah.
And then now they like the technology, it seems, in this. I don't know. It's so cool.
Yeah, and
I never saw it coming.
Yeah, it's not just like the technology, it's just like it is also the technology, but just like the sheer cleverness.
Yeah, the application of the technology in like such a interesting
Yeah.
way that I don't think anybody could have predicted when there was an IR camera on the bottom of one of the
Right.
Joy-Con.
No one was like, "Oh yeah, we'll be building stuff with this."
Well, yeah, I'll build a working piano.
Yeah. I think this stuff is like totally insane. And I think I'm excited about it.
I have never been a Lego kid. I was
Yeah.
never like following like instructions and kits was never
Mhm.
something that I ever took to. But I think the idea behind this is so amazingly clever
Yeah.
that even if it's not for me specifically, it's like I think it's incredibly awesome.
Right. So over Christmas this year, I went to my friend Andrew's parents' house. And Andrew and I have a history of playing games together. So we played some like Super Mario Odyssey and like some other stuff. But on Christmas Eve day, we got out a puzzle, and we all like sat around and like worked on a puzzle together. And it's like a bunch of 30 somethings like hanging out, and like it's an activity that you can do like kind of quietly and just sort of work together. Like I don't know, this seems like it's an activity in and of itself, and then it's a video game after that. Um, it just I don't know. I think it could be a really cool, fun way to spend time with people.
I also really, really admire, and I think it's why Nintendo's my favorite video game company,
Yeah.
is because it's such a interesting and unique application of a video game platform to not do video game like to do more than that.
Yeah.
It's more than just a cool Zelda game. It's more than just a cool Mario game. It's
Right.
a way to
More
like,
than just possibly the best Zelda game and the best Mario game.
yeah, like
Yeah.
you know, it's a way to actually, I don't know, make kids build and create and think, and I just think that's incredibly admirable.
Yeah. Well, I was reminded of and I think we reported on this a couple weeks ago. There was a quote from Miyamoto saying that when like hiring the new generation, that they were looking to get people who weren't just into games, and like this is evidence of that. Like, yes, there are also like engineers and toy makers, and that Nintendo is focused on like fun and like experience, and like that's what Labo is an experience.
Yeah, and Kimishima, has been before this was announced, had been talking a lot about, they were looking forward to introducing new ways to play with the Switch,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of how they're expecting the Switch to ship like so many units this year, is because they're expecting, they have high hopes for this.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. It's I don't know, I'm just blown away in a way that I never was by uh like steering wheel attachments for the Wii controller,
Right.
or like tennis racket attachments.
Yeah. And I mean, it really is just the difference of like one of these things is just extra plastic that you attach to your controller, and the other thing is something you have to build. And that the building aspect of it is so like interesting and cool and compelling to me. I don't know. I think it's going to be a really cool product. I also really like that it is cardboard and not like plastic or like blocks or whatever that you're constructing with. It feels like a strong environmental choice. And it made me remember a couple things. But one that back when the Wii was announced, one of like the selling points of the Wii was its low power draw. And I remember thinking like, who cares? Like, where in the world is someone like, oh, my PlayStation 2 is drawing too much power. If only the next system draws less power. But like, maybe Nintendo is making these choices to be like, yeah, this could be plastic. It could be like Kinects. It could be like, any Lego, anything like that. But like, no, it's cardboard. It's, easily recyclable.
Right, like, we were talking about just yesterday all the plastic instruments we
Yeah.
had when we were playing Rock Band and Guitar Hero all the time, and like in like 2008, the height of that mania. And when you were done playing with it, when you were bored of it or like didn't want to do it anymore, you just had a bunch of plastic crap sitting around that what were you going to do with?
Yeah, and
And
like that's still sort of the case here. That like, what are you going to do with this cardboard piano?
recycle it.
You could recycle it, but I mean, then you've thrown away the thing, which right? It's essentially the same as like recycling the plastic guitar, right?
Yeah,
Or trying to.
yeah, you can't. That's
Right.
the difference.
Right. But I mean, even I think there's something cool about like you build this piano, and then like if you have it out in your house, it's a thing you made. Like it's not just like oh yeah, that's a controller for a game. There's something more to it than that.
I also like, okay, so there are two different like packages that Labo is starting with when it ships in April 20th. And the first one is what they're calling the variety kit.
Mhm.
And the price is $69.99. So it comes with the stuff to make the 2 RC cars, 1 fishing rod, 1 house, 1 motorbike, 1 piano. And these projects they estimate will take from 15 minutes for like the RC cars to 2 hours for the piano. I said I wasn't like a Lego kid or anything, but I have the attention span to, 2 hours is not that much anymore.
Yeah,
You know what I
it's
mean?
true.
Like if I have 2 hours.
Yeah. Hey, man, look, 2 hours, we'll just put Predators on TV,
Right, build a piano.
build a piano in the time it takes you to watch Predators.
And then the second kit is something that we haven't even talked about yet,
Yeah.
where you make a robot suit
Make a robot suit.
out of mostly cardboard.
Yeah.
This one is $80. And remember that patent from months back that showed, probably like a year at this point, that showed the Switch in like sort of like a VR visor type thing?
Yeah.
And originally everyone was kind of thinking like, oh, in like a VR environment. Well, that basically is what this looks like, where part of what you're constructing is a cardboard like visor that
Like
you
a
put
helmet.
yeah, that you put the Switch into, and then there is like a game associated with it.
Yeah, well, and I think the game harkens back to a Nintendo project that was canceled a couple of years ago called Project Giant Robot.
Or we thought was canceled.
Or that we thought was canceled, or maybe was canceled and is now Project Giant Cardboard. You know, but yeah. So like that, this is the one where it seems like the software application has to be like the main draw of it. You know, like a fishing game where like you actually have a fishing pole and like you're actually tugging on stuff like that. The novelty there seems like enough that like the software doesn't have to be that great, but like the giant robot thing, I feel like that's got to be a meteor experience.
Oh, see, maybe
You
for,
don't think
for
so?
me, it's kind of the opposite. It's like a fishing rod with some sort of like fishing game. That's just like that's a carnival game that you would have at
Yeah,
you
sure.
know like
okay.
school functions. But when I was a kid, if I had a robot like you know like a like Gundam suit, basically, it's like I wouldn't need the screen stuff would just be extra. Like
Sure.
I had a Gundam suit that I could walk around in. Like that is awesome to me.
Yeah. Well, are you? Let's delve into this. What do we think these game experiences are actually going to be like? Because we don't. That's the part of it that we don't know at all. And like the other part that we don't know at all really is like just how well these things work. Like it looks cool. It looks like it'll be easy or fun or whatever to put them together. But like, how well does that piano actually respond to like how good is that?
Is this an
IR
IKEA
cam?
furniture situation where it looks great in the showroom, and
Right.
then you get it home and it's like wobbly,
Right.
And you know,
then you go back to the instructions and there's like a picture of like a little guy with his arms crossed, and then he's like on the phone with IKEA, and you're like, I'm not gonna call Nintendo.
yeah, I think that's the big question.
Yeah.
You know, $70 start as a starting price is not.
And that's just for the
cheap.
variety pack. The robot pack is $80.
Yeah.
And you know, presumably they each come with their own set of software. It's not clear to me, well, and not clear to anyone, I guess, at this point, what form the software takes. Is it a cart that comes with the kit? Is it a download code?
I'm assuming it's a game cart.
I would also
Yeah.
assume that. But is there like one like Labo card that has everything on it, or do you think
Well, I would imagine that the
robot one has the robot stuff?
robot one has the robot stuff and is maybe a more robust game experience. I guess I don't really base that on no information, and that the other one has the you know everything required for the variety pack.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would hope that it's a more robust experience than each of the other 5 in the other one, just because it's 1 versus 5 and costs $10 more. So, and then on top of all this, if you want to buy a Labo customization kit that has like stencils and markers and
Stickers and
washu
special tape and stuff. Yeah.
that's $10. It's unclear how Nintendo will handle like replacement sheets of like the cardboard stuff. If that's stuff that people can buy or anything like that, I guess. Because like if I make a piano or whatever, and then I do want to recycle it, but then I want to build the piano again later, I don't think I should have to buy the whole variety pack again in order to do that.
And I would assume that will be a possibility. But
Yeah.
that's just an assumption on my part.
Right.
I think it's really, really cool.
Yeah.
It maybe not, something that I'm going to delve deeply into, but definitely something I'm going to check out, and something that I think is, as cliche as it is, like only Nintendo could come up with.
Oh, absolutely. Like, yeah. Can you imagine another like Microsoft or Sony or anyone else like jumping in to try and do this? Wouldn't make any sense.
It wouldn't make any sense. In other Nintendo news, there are rumors that a new 2D Metroid is in the early stages of development.
Okay.
Reset era poster, Moko Lostrokolos.
Okay. Moko Lostrokolos.
Recently posted that a new game is in the works, and they have a pretty good track record, hinting that a remake of Metroid 2 was in development way back in 2016.
Okay.
So Samus Returns seems like it was reasonably successful. It showed up on the NPD's 3DS bestsellers of 2017, just after the Pokemon games and Mario Maker.
And was the Game Awards handheld game of the year.
Yes. And I don't know. I guess it's impossible to know how 3DS software sold this year, in general. But with Samus Returns being pretty well received, commercially and critically, it makes sense to me that Mercury Steam would just like kind of move on to a new 2D Metroid project.
New Metroid?
Yeah.
Is that because at the time, remember when Samus Returns came out, that there was talk of Mercury Steam originally wanting to do a remake of Fusion? So what do you think? Do you think that's a possibility?
No, my hope is that it's not a remake, and that a remake is kind of like learning the ropes of a Metroid game, and like understanding the mechanics and all that kind of stuff.
Metroid 5?
And then we move on to Metroid 5.
Metroid 5.
Yeah. That's my dream.
Other M2?
My other dream.
Other N?
Yeah.
That would be the one after Other M, right?
Warner Brothers announced Scribblenauts Showdown coming March 6th for $40 with 3 main modes. So Scribblenauts, for is somebody who is maybe not familiar with the franchise, is a series of games that I believe began on the Nintendo DS.
I think that's correct.
And kind of I think it's a platformer and kind of the draw of or like a puzzle game.
Yeah,
it's a puzzle game.
More
right?
Puzzle game. Yeah. So you haven't played any of them?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So you play as Maxwell, and you go into a level, and your goal is always to collect the star in that level. And you've got sort of limited control over Maxwell. In a lot of the games, you have to like just use the touch screen, that there aren't any like left and right D-pad controls, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. But the way you solve all these puzzles is by summoning objects by just writing the word. So if there's a star up in a tree and you want to get up in that tree, you write ladder. A ladder appears and he climbs it. And it's all very like physics based and rules based. And the vocabulary of these things is huge, right? Like you can, if you're like, how am I going to get to the top of that tree? Cherry picker, or like falcon, or like almost anything you write, it's going to actually like populate it and put it in there. And there have been a bunch of these games, including a version that had like Nintendo characters in it. There's a DC one that has like Batman and stuff. And like Scribblenauts Unlimited, which lets you put adjectives on things. So like, you're not just summoning Batman, you're summoning Batman on fire. Or, it's not just a dog, it's a slippery dog. Or, whatever. Slippery dog and Batman on fire were the first two things I could think of. But I don't really know about this Scribblenauts Showdown.
Yeah, so it seems to be more multiplayer focused than maybe some of the other titles.
Okay.
Has 3 main modes: Showdown, Versus, and Sandbox. In Showdown, you up to 4 players face off, and it's a card-based strategy game. So mini games require. Well, this is the PR. Mini games require unleashing the best object or character from the vast Scribblenauts dictionary of over 30,000 words to outsmart an opponent. Action-oriented, speedy mini games reward the player who completes a given challenge first. A board game style map displays players' progress. Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of different little modes there, or within the showdown part of it. Then the part of the versus mode, again, back to the little PR blurb here. 2 players can go head to head in more than 25 mini games that vary in every session. In the mini games, the mini games can also be enjoyed single player. versus mode allows continuous play of games by shuffling players into game after game for nonstop fun. I think this is the one that they're like advertising it with, where it shows Maxwell and like another Scribblenaut in a game of rock paper scissors. So like one of them writes rock and or scissors, and then rock obviously beats scissors, paper beats rock, and then like but flamethrower beats paper.
That's funny.
And then like Dalmatian beats flamethrower because the Dalmatian has like a fire hose. It's a fire dog. So yeah, if it's just sort of like that like logic puzzle of like your opponent plays this, what can you do to neutralize that? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. And then finally, sandbox mode, again, going back to the PR. The Scribblenauts series Cherished Creative Playground allows 1 or 2 players to solve objectives in 8 new levels by summoning any object they can imagine and earn hidden starites and achievements.
Yeah, I apologize. They're not stars, they're starites.
Players can also let their imaginations run wild by unleashing whatever objects they can think of and watching them interact in unexpected ways.
So it's interesting that you pulled this for like a news item. We don't always talk about like new game announcements.
Yeah, I think just this one, Scribblenauts is a series that I've just always, even though I haven't played one, thought was really cool and interesting. Way back on just like the DS day, the idea that you could scribble out any, pretty much any word that you could think of,
right,
and have the developers have also thought of that.
Yeah, well, and like it's not even necessarily a matter of them like having thought. Like obviously they have to think of the 30,000 words that are in this dictionary, whatever. But like that there is no intended solution. There's no single solution for, a given problem, which feels like, and I know that's like what a lot of games and like video game platforms are like aiming for at this point, is having that sense of freedom, right? But it's a very Nintendo Switch thing.
Well, and also feels so much like what I enjoyed in Breath of the Wild.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's for me one of the things that was so cool about Breath of the Wild and playing it on Switch was that Switch lets you play however you want. You want to play in front of your TV, you want to play in your bedroom, you want to play on the train, whatever. Like you can play it, you can play the video game however you want, and then when you're in the video game, you can play that however you want. And Scribblenauts just seems at home with that. So yeah, it's a cool little synthesis there.
A couple of weeks ago, media outlets were being asked for review blurbs about The Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds, and that led to some speculation of a re-release of the 3DS game or something like that. Turns out Nintendo was prepping it for a new line of Nintendo Selects. Super Mario 3D Land, Ultimate NES Remix, and Link Between Worlds will become available for $20 each starting February 3rd.
And those are all real good games.
Yeah, once again, 3DS has a killer library.
And it's just a little bit more affordable. I'm definitely going to be picking up the NES Remix. I have both of the Remix games on the Wii U, but I seldom turn that thing on anymore. And they're just such fun, like little time wasters. Do you know the games? Have you played them at all?
No, we've talked about it in the past, but why don't you?
Yeah, it basically takes chunks from NES games, like individual discrete little challenges, like 7 seconds of gameplay, 12 seconds of gameplay, and just like presents you with just that little bit of challenge, and then makes you do it as fast or as efficiently as you can, and then you get like a little score, and then it shoots you to the next challenge. So it's really cool. There's something like 20 or 30 between both versions of the game, which the Ultimate Collection here is both.
And what are like examples of the challenges?
So examples of the challenges will be like, level 1-3 of Super Mario Brothers, which is the flying cheap level. Or no, maybe that's anyway. It's some level like that where the fish are jumping out and flying at you, where it doesn't let you stop holding right. So you're always running to the right, and you just have to get through the level like that. It's something that'll take you 17 seconds if you do it right. Or it can't take you longer because you're always running to the right. So like that's one, or like it'll make you fight a boss in Super Mario Brothers 2, or find an entrance to a cave in The Legend of Zelda, or anything like that. It's all really, really cool stuff like that. And every now and then it's like, here's a thing from Clue Clue Land you don't want to do. Or like, here's something from NES Golf, which you don't understand. But by and large, it's an excellent collection of just like little micro challenges from NES games.
Then finally, Netflix's Castlevania series is coming back with an additional 8 episodes this summer.
Double the order.
So seems like we'll have to have Colin back on the show.
I don't know. He didn't watch all the episodes last time.
I know. So
should we have him back?
This time he can watch the rest of the episodes he didn't see, and then he can watch these 8. Because if he didn't watch 4, he's definitely going to watch double the amount.
Didn't we decide that like the 4th one was where it got good again?
Yes, so that's why I'm excited for this.
Yeah, 1 and 4 were really good. 2 and 3,
whatever.
They are kind of dragging. Pretty sure I fell asleep. But yeah, we'll have Colin back for that.
Yeah, I mean, and I was super skeptical of the series, but I really ended up liking those first and last episodes.
And hey, that's half of the series.
Yeah,
so.
That's not bad.
So if 4 of these next 8 can be decent, that's all we need. All right, Mark, let's move out of the news. And that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. We mentioned it at the top, but if you could please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, that helps us a lot with visibility. People can find us, and then they're listening to the same show you are. Then we're all part of one big successful thing together. If you want to follow us on Twitter, we are at NinCart Society, and the Facebook page is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. If you like Mark and Mine's opinions, we write about comic books on retconpunch.com. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying Labo. And thanks for listening.
What's a Creative Podcast Network?